I changed today live stream topic because I feel like there is something that I have in mind. And when I think about it, when I think through about why did I change the title and how how and then and I'm like getting into the feeling, oh, actually what we had yesterday can be something that can be combined with what we have today. So yesterday I have this angry feeling. I'm feeling angry yesterday, and I have a moment of like, oh my god, this is so easy. Like, you don't need me to tell you how to do this. You need to know to do this before I say anything. And I really hate when someone don't have any, like, I don't know, it's not instinct. It's like this is normal. Like, this is like what you usually do when something is happened this way, because the response to it is like this. But this person didn't do it that way, and I feel like they need me to eventually like say it in front of their face, and I'm like, and eventually I say it, and then, oh yeah, okay, I'll do that. And like, why can't you think for yourself? Not being polite, but just like acknowledging, like, well, this is the process. Like, I have this thing happen so many times when I was younger, when I was a lot younger than now. And I my veil is actually in really weird proportion, because this one is also like not aligned. So yeah. So I used to have a struggle with this idea that, well, you gotta do this because this happened, right? But no, not everyone have the same logical move like I do, and I feel like I was that person who always put line on everything. So if something happened and I just do it the way I think it would be, and it was so pragmatic, it was so rigid, and I I've been hurt with my own idea for so long, because not everyone think like I do. They sometimes think in a really 고시가랬네. How would we can do it like this? Well, it fixed a little bit. So, and they have their own standard. They have the things that the important things that is different than mine, and I always put things in such an order that I don't feel the need to say it, because I feel like everyone would know. I know the name, I know the title, but I just kind of forget about it. 지켜주는 거 아니에요. I know the Korean part. I don't know the English part. I don't know the Indonesian part, which is weird. Like the standard, like there is a standard to everything, and I usually the person who only know such a rigid son. 저는 너무 미치겠다. 기억이 안 나. Okay, so because something happened yesterday, and it just hit me on my head again. Hit a nail on my head again. It's like, why do you need me to say it to you before you eventually do it yourself? Like, you don't need me to say it in order for you to do this. You can just like freaking do it without me saying it. Why do you need me? Do you hold a different standard? Like, do you have a different kind of value to not think this option to be like, this is the norm? Okay, the norm. I feel like it is a norm to, when you do something back. Like that give and take. It's like a norm. But no, not everyone is like that. And I've been hurt so many times when I was young. So I eventually learned how to accept that anyone else out there have different value, and they are not the type of people who would have the same thing as as me. So, and I learned that. But yesterday, I just so angry because this thing happened, and they need me to say it in order to make it happen. And I'm like, and I feel like this is part of the perfectionism that am still, I still am, because as a perfectionism, there are things in order, and you cannot like bypass those orders even if you want to. There are also process. So, and I thought about like, because I have such a hard time with this idea of perfectionism, I eventually understand, oh, this insistence is actually part of the perfectionism that I don't need to develop any further. So I try to stop the perfectionism in myself. And I already labeled the idea of my perfectionism as bad because I have never been in the situation where perfection exists. And it has been so hard to be the only one who know what perfectionism is, but no one out there, even myself, put myself out there to reach such a height. And I never reached the height that I always picture. So I accommodate this idea with like, okay, let's change it. I get triggered because I am perfectionism, but I never get there, so I change it. The way I change it is that understanding that it's not the perfectionism. It's not like it has to happen this way, this way, this. It's not about that. My perfectionism lays in this idea, in the visual, in the vision that I hold about something. And if someone out there need me to continuously say it to their face, like put control to make this thing happen, then I don't want that kind of perfectionism. But also like if if it's like I already try it, but I have never reached that point, then it is a freaking fake perfectionism. And I usually have this idea around, okay, what if it's fail? Like failing is such a hardcore issue for me because I never have those type of a literally fail. Since I discard school when I was like in fifth grade, no, third grade. In third grade, I discard school because I'm like, I never reached that height. So I just like drop whatever ranking I'm at. And my ranking is not that bad actually. I was like fifth from the whole school, but I'm like, I don't know why I need to get into the higher rank at this point. So I drop it all, and then I eventually drop so low into lower ranked. So perfectionism never been a really good thing for me, but I have a vision that I'd like to keep. And in that vision, what I usually don't think is when if it's fail, the risk of something not working out. And that's what always bugs me up because I always fall into this is not working, we failed, and then I stop. But if you are such a perfectionist, and you put a plan, and that plan has accommodate every single risk and point of failing, then you use your perfectionism for good. And that's how I actually improve my perfectionism because I can't stand something that is not up to my standard. I kind of like expand my standard in a way, but there are some core standard that will never change. And that idea is also what I carry in my business. This is the core principle of how these realities work, how you work, and how the progress, the evolution work. But eventually, if you want to move outside of this spectrum, outside of these pillars, you can. And that's what you are here for. And I expand my idea, my standard in such a way that eventually I include the risk, the point of failing in a different pathways, that I have less and less triggering part whenever I fail, because I'm like, oh, it is failed. Let's try it again tomorrow. So that's also like the possibility of having another chance is really important. Like, how do you think about your attempt? How do you reserve your energy? That is also important, because then you get to see, oh, it can work this way. Oh, we feel so tired, we feel exhausted. Rest, honey. You have the chance to rest. Have you put that task, that action in your plan, knowing that whatever it is that you have, that you will have, will never go away, that whatever it is where you are right now is will never attract the things that you want the most. So no matter attempt you do with the current condition will eventually birth something that is not aligned. So rest. It's not an escape rhythm. It is one of the way. So rest. That's what I want to talk about the how to work with your perfectionism. Now, I change it today's live stream with there is no ending, because this attempt is never end. And the more you try, there are more things to try, and it never ends. So I used to, because of my perfectionism, I fall into this deep depression that I never get to see what is the purpose of life. Like, I always question that thing, and it was such a existential question, because everyone else questioned it, but some people found the answer and some people will never. Oh, hello. And I am glad that I was one of the people who found the answer of what is this life, because my life has been following the purpose that I set when I was 8, and I have spent my every day ever since thinking about, like, how can we make that dream come true, which is like the kind of world where I know that that was the world that I'm living, rather than the world of just shadow, the world of suffering, the world of war, because that is not the world that I sense in my system. So my system sense a different kind of world than everyone else, and I never get to assimilate my system to the world nowadays, because I know that that is not the world that I want to play. So I went such a hell road into achieving the knowledge, achieving everything else that I needed to share with people, to eventually make my dream world come true. But then perfectionism come in, and then I get so depressed. And in my depression, I get to see that there is no end. You get one thing, and then it finished and end, and then something else started. This loop will never end, even if you're dead. I mean, like, if you are dying right now and someday you're dead, just because you go into somewhere else doesn't mean that you will never exist at something else. And that is the core reason why I didn't end my own life when 2017, 2018, I picture myself like, what would happen if I eventually take myself here? And I know myself best to know like I actually would never quit. If I choose this is my end time, I would reincarnate and I would do the fucking thing all over again. And I'm like, great idea. Let's not do that and just let's make this our last lifetime as human. And that's why I'm still here doing the project to eventually share what I know and have a better experience as human, to eventually never again to be a human in this time. There will be a time to be a human that was so great, but now it's not. Now it's like we are in the limbo of change, that everything just mushed together and no one knows what is the truth. And because we have not yet set the truth as a collective, because we have not come together as a collective, because everyone was like, I want to go this way, I want to go this way, I want to go this way. Let's go this way. This, the path is here. No more fork in this path. The only path that will get us forward is actually this one. And that's the game that I'm playing right now. And talking about depression, there are so many people there is depressed these days because everything is in high toxicity level, no matter what that is, the nutrition, the information, the relationship, the karmic experience. By karmic, I didn't mean that you do something and then you get back something. That's just how the world works. It's not karmic. It's just the experience is that way. But what I mean by karmic is actually what you have set yourself to experience in this life. So there are people who here to only experience the good thing because that's what they are set. They have set in this lifetime. There are people who actually will never get out from their worst point. And I know this from the beginning, but I have never seen anyone else in the spiritual community talk about it like this. They always say like, "Oh yeah, this is gonna be like flowery road. If you want to change, you will change." Not really. There are people here with a destiny that let them suffer to the highest level ever, and they will never get out from it because that's what they are here for. Now, would you say it to their face like that? In the psychic world, if you know someone will never get out from something, you should not tell them in the way that was so devastating. It's a psychological rules because you just being mean. That's what I also know. But this one story is actually really what I experienced myself. Sometimes when someone asks me, "Do you think I would have this by this amount of time?" And I see their path, I see their destiny, I see the frequency through my intuitive gift, my psychic insight, and I can see it. You can never have that until this happened. How do you actually relay this information? Or sometimes I see a dead, the calling for death. So meaning like people who are so near to crossing over, they have a certain energetic that I know you're gonna die within this amount of time. Would you actually tell them that? I'm still agonizing because I used to experience this with one of my friends. I didn't know then, but I felt it. I'm like, oh, this feeling is like you're about to die. I have never, I, and then I don't know how they are going. And then a couple months later, I heard they are dead. And I'm like, oh, okay, I get it. I kind of know about it, but also like when it happened, I also shocked that what I feel is actually the truth. And also like my uncle, I met my uncle when 2016, 20s, no, 2015, 16, because I was on Kroka. When is my sibling get married? I think around that time, like 2023, 2022, around that time. And I get to meet my uncle, and my uncle have this bright light that I feel, and I can see it so clearly. And I'm like, okay, I didn't think much about it because I never get to understand what is this, but I just know that the time is near. And then my mom said, I want to live near my family. And I, and I literally said to my mom, I don't think you can't, because my uncle was the last biological family to my mom. And truth to behold, a few years, so it's not months, a few years later, he is dead. And I'm like, okay. And now she don't have anyone that can, like, she have no one that can stay near her. And then her biological family is just us, the family in this the people in his family. Ta-da. And thankfully I never get to a situation where I see a bunch of people would have an accident, because I heard someone in the psychic world, in the spiritual community, have those moments, and they just like, they are about to fly somewhere. They get into an airplane, they see the people, and all over is like red dots. Everyone is about to die, to die, to die. So because she is such a intuitive person, she decided to not abort the plane. So she get off, she missed her flight, and a couple hours later, the plane crashed somewhere. And she is the only survivor of that passenger, because she never get on to the plane. And thankfully, I never get into that kind of space, because it is devastating. You can't really pull people from that experience because it's in their destiny. I mean, there are some people who are lucky enough to have people who would pull them away, and it's such a tragic moment. But there are people who, no matter how hard you try, they will still go to that road. Some time ago, like a long time ago, there was a big accident in front of this my house, and the road is like this. So it's like a mountain, a hill, and going like this. And then there was a truck with like people get sleepy because they are driving a truck for so long. And then the, what do you call it? The stop. They cannot stop it because there is something there is a problem with the machine, and then they just crash people on the street. That happened here. And it was such a big news, and the people, I don't know when, but I never, sometimes I see the people who are actually still there. So that's also one of the really hard time. And yeah, what do we tell about this, about death? I think like we are straying away because the point of death is in a depression state. So I wonder, I know she never talk about her like momentary feelings. She only talk about the the story itself. But she never put herself in the story, just like, yeah, I get off the plane. And I am so blessed with my instinct because whenever something really, really terrible is about to happen, I want to just go home. I want to just back into my room. I was once out of the city with my friend and we were documenting a festival, and I'm like, I think we got enough footage. So I go home. My friend's still in the festival. My friend said, after you got home, the people got so drunk that they make such a mess in the festival, and then the festival just end right there and then. And I'm like, okay. Like I always have those moments, like I have been guiding by such an instinct, like get out from here right now, don't go here. So I think that is also why I never get into such a massive warning sign. But if I would be in that situation, I still don't know what I would do. And also that's why I want to learn to swim. I don't know why. I just have the hint of feeling that someday I would actually saving someone from drowning. Maybe somewhere. I don't know how I would do that with my small body, but if I can swim, I probably would save a child. But yeah, that's one of the things. So, and talking about grief from the dead, it's also something that will never end. You would go home. I wonder, like I always someone who would try to not go with my spiritual gift. I cannot get close to people who have really terrible frequency, compounded terrible frequency inside their soul, and I would just know this person is really really terrible. Don't like get close to them because you would like experience what they put out. And I have been the person who always stay away from these people. The people who would do something bad or about to have something bad happen to them. And I'm like, but I don't like that. So I tried to win over this thing, and I did, and I made some bad friends over the years. But even that, I need to win it. Like I need to work for it because my normal rhythm is just like I need to stay away from these people because I know they are not good for my life, myself. And I'm like, I don't want that. I actually want to experience it at least once. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know why I always try to win, but I just never like the idea to be so cocoon, to be so caged in something and just play by my destiny. I don't really like that. But by this point, I have never go over the book. Like I always go by the book, and I was so predictable. So whenever someone said to me, "You are so unpredictable," I was like, "Am I?" I have been so predictable since I know myself, and I'm like, when is what I am is unpredictable? I don't know. But yeah, and the thing about ending the grief and all that stuff is that there is none of that. And if you are in a depressive mode to experience such a continuation of this life, because what I usually depress about is that I need to have my routine. I need to keep doing something just to maintain my life. Read in a book, people get what they expect from people most of the time. Exactly. And the feeling of ending is, I'm talking about the routine, and then yeah, I actually numb from that. By numb, I mean like, like you get to be the person who always right, and then you get tired of feeling like everything going great, and none of the things that you experience in life been going wrong, because you know how to read the room, and you know how to read the frequency, and you know how to read the unpredictable, and you're just feeling so bored with this idea of predictability, because things never get unpredictable. So I tend to go over the book with my effort in order to just change things a little bit, to make things interesting. And it's been working well, actually. But the things about that is that it's never end. So it's just going to be going on and on and on until you meet your enoughness that eventually you choose to die. And I don't know why I want to talk about dying, actually. And I have said how I want to die. I want to die in my sleep. So when I take my last breath, I'm just like, poof, and then I'm the other side. I talked about this to my friend, and my friend was just laugh with me, because you can do that. You can choose your death. Yep, you can. If that's what you choose, if that's what you want to experience, and it is relevant for your destiny, the lifetime that you choose right now, it will happen. And that's how I choose to die. But eventually, I feel like with the things that I am now, with the things, with the system, with the instinct, with the signs that I have now, I cannot die until I was 100, and until I'm 100. But there is a big timeline in my own timeline when I was like 80 something. In that time, there is something that needs to change. And if I fail to keep the flow going, like flow with the change, then I would die right at that moment. So how do you feel about your death? How do you picture you will die? Because that will be interesting to know, like, oh, I actually just want to die in this way. Great. How do you approach that? How do you believe that? Is that something that you wish for? Is that something that you want? Is that something that you feel you're going to have? Because I have so many memories about me falling from the stairs, that I think like I was once died because I was falling down the stairs in my sleep also. Exactly. I just remember that I was in the hospital and I saw someone like getting out of their physical body because they are dying. And then when they're the other side, and then they just never breathe again. And they were dying, uh and they're dying in their sleep. So it's fascinating. Adixara is so. Also, I was once connected to one of my friend's parents, because their dad or their mom that had an accident, and I feel the need to help this person. So I help them in my own in my one of my meditations session, and I'm like, let me get into this person's body and let me turn on their healing system to help them heal faster. And that's what I did. But because that was my first time doing it, when I get back to my body, instead of letting the pain stay in that person's space, I take it to my body, and some of my body hurts really bad. There's no wound, there's nothing, but I'm just feeling it so heavy, and then at some point I can't breathe, and then I try to help myself to breathe, and eventually I get out from that kind of experience, and I'm like, maybe we don't need to do that anymore. Being diabetic, I don't wish for, but there is a few times every month I go to bed not sure I'm going to wake up. You can heal diabetic, just so you know. There, I am also diabetic, but I learned to fast, and then also like eat more meat, but don't season it, just eat the meat, and eventually detox, and then help your cells regenerate faster. So if you want to try carnivore diet, that would be amazing if you can afford that, because I am currently not. So don't crave and but don't plan for future. Type 1. Interesting. Carnivore diet might work, but if you uh never have the feeling to try that, then it will probably not work. So make your bet in somewhere else. So something about there's something that I want to say, but it doesn't come up because I have said other things. So yeah, that thing. So yeah. So that's why like I have two things to talk about today, because yesterday was just something that I'm angry at, and then today I have something along like there is no end, because whatever you try, the routine is going to continue no matter how much you wish it would end. It will still be here, because the reality itself, the dimension that we are in, is still in the third dimension. And I don't like routine, like I don't like eating. I don't like moving. I don't like to like breathe, because it was so weird for me to have this human experience, since I myself don't feel human in the first place. But I have win over this idea too, because I am human. In this lifetime, I am human. I'm not some alien that was faking my humanness. I'm literally human in this time. I was born in this family with this kind of experience, with this kind of skills, with this kind of everything. And I'm like, we can't really change that. And that's just who you are as a human. So I learned to not feeling so sick about the routine. Instead, we can just have fun with the routine, because it will never end. It will change. And then that's like the thing. Now I remember what I want to say. There are hints from your feelings. There are signs from your feelings. Like you feel like you doing too much, and then you pull yourself back to know like, okay, we actually don't need to do it that hard. We don't need to put our effort that much, because if it's meant for you, it will happen, it will arrive, it will be in your now, no matter where you're going to end up in this life, because it's yours. You are the sole owner of this moment, because your essence will call for it. And Sweden has a stem cell transplant program that is a cure. I hear rumors of like in one way. It can be one way. Talking about which one would work for me is that, what type of person are you? Are you the type that tries something whenever a new solution exists? I mean, if that's the person that you are, you can go for everything. Or Are you the person who always go by your feelings, by your intuition? Because then you are easily figure out which one is actually your way. Because there's always a cure to everything. But then again, if your destiny is to be taken by this disease, then you can't really seem to do much about it. That is also one of the things that you need to take in account for whatever you are experiencing. There is always a cure for everything, but if it's for you to experience, you will never be able to cure it in the first place. Take your bet. Which one is it? Which one calling you? Which one is what is your availability? There is like the pull between feelings that I feel when you are doing the routine, going back to what I'm talking about, is that you are pulling, you are pushing too much, or you are not doing enough. There is that, and that is like the the key to stop feeling pressure by the routine itself, because then you never actually do something continuously, the same effort, the same thing that you need to do every day. So sometimes you need to eat like just once a day, or sometimes you need to eat 3 times a day or more. Like it depends on how is your present calling you, because sometimes routine doesn't mean that everyone else who said you need to do it this much and this much and this much was like, how do you know? It always costs too much. Now here's the thing, if you feel that that thing would help you, would cure you, you will find the money. But because you have the, you will receive the money, or you find the money, whatever it is. But because you have said it in such a way that, oh, it will not work because I don't have the money, then you already block your way to eventually heal it in the first place. So this is why like Bashar shared the idea of like follow your passion, because of this thing. If you can win over this thing that, oh, I can't afford that, instead of like saying that's a good thing to try. Okay, how much is it? If it's feeling too much for you because you don't have the capacity to do that much, it's okay. Maybe that's not the way. But I think like I talked about it like a couple of live stream ago, but I think I said it in such a um bad way that I never get it across. When I talk about my experience with, oh, this is actually the money that I don't have, but my capacity in my container is so huge that this money doesn't seem much. I don't have 5K, but I feel I can receive 5K. So if you have that kind of experience, that kind of momentum within yourself, you will have the money either way. You just need to keep your option open. Don't close it like this, you know? I think that's why I share the things that I about that event. The event ticket costs 5K. Sounds much if I don't know where to use that much of money. But now that I can see, oh, this can help me here, this can help me here, I kind of like see the value of it, and I don't really see the 5K to be like too much. But I also have the system to help me get into 5K. So that might help. But there are people who is more illogical than me, that they feel like they don't need to have the system. They just know that they will get it no matter what. Green, something green. The name, manifestation coach. The name is Green. What is the first name? I don't remember. So that girl have the same philosophy as me. What is her name? She is a UK manifestation coach. Her name something with green. I don't remember the first name. and I have unsubscribed her channel. I found her on YouTube. Don't really remember her. That person always said something that I also believe that, but she defined it in such a logical way that it doesn't seem illogical. But it is illogical experience, because talking about energy, you never get into like step 1, step 2, step 3. It always like different for everyone, but she has come with this core philosophy of how to eventually manifest, whether you want it or not. Just like write it and then picture it that it's done. I think like this is a very generic manifestation hack that people have out there. And it's also why I unsubscribe her. At some point, her way of sharing her work doesn't change, and I don't see any spark anymore to follow along the journey, so I unsubscribe. What is her name? Jenna? No. Jenna Green? No, I don't think her name is Jenna. I don't know. It is like I remember it like right here. Just don't remember it. Something. Oh, it's that name. So yeah, I always say when I win. Don't say when, because when I win the lottery, I will do that. No. So one of her ways is that don't say the time. Have it the feeling that it's already in your present. So instead of making it when I win this, I will actually get to experience this. It's not about the time. If you have the energy, if you like, huh, I have the money. Even though you don't have the money, like you already have the ability to receive that much. So this is hard. Manifestation is hard not because we are trying, but because people have different idea about how it will happen. What would happen if you just say, I win a lottery? I feel like I'm winning a lottery right now. And therefore would buy a lottery ticket. I would fill it and then I would just I'm winning right now. I feel like amplifying that energy much more, it will help you better than saying like when I win. When I win. It's just like you are winning. Do you feel like you are winning? You know the great thing is about my name. So my name is not Sekar Win. It's actually Sekar Indah Wulandari. But because I know that some of you would never have the ability to say those names in such a fluency, I eventually changed my name into Sekar Win. And the win is actually the same way to pronounce winning. So, ta-da! I got the manifestation code in my system, but I have never been the person who would guide someone else to own this code because it was so different for everyone else. And I also have the block around I can read destiny, and sometimes people would get it or not. Oh yeah, I also want to tell you about this story. So I had a client and she was asking like when would I lose my weight? Because she is a mother, and then she has gained more weight and she was just, I'm so tired looking at the mirror and looking at myself like this. So I want to lose weight. When would I actually experience that? I look at different timeline and I'm like, no, 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 no. Okay, so when there is no timeline in her existing timeline that said that she will get thin. And I'm like, you can't. I said just like that, clearly, no sugarcoating. I'm just like plainly said, no, this is the best physical appearance that you might get because you have so many things lining up for you that need you to look like this. I said it the way I said it. I'm like, sounds really bad. I don't like when someone cannot get what they want, but it is undeniable that some people will never get what they want because it is never necessary for their situation to have those moments in the first place because they have something else lining up. And I don't know, I wish at the time I, instead of using my psychic gift, I help this person to eventually found the block and then eventually like get herself out of this system that eventually have what she wants, because that is also a possibility. And what I said about the timeline, about her path, it's not wrong, but it's not like a dead end because I only see the pre-existing timeline. It's not everything that has not been created. So the unpredictability is exist. Now we're getting back into the first thing that we talk about at the very beginning of this stream is that you can plan all it out. No matter how bad it is, no matter how good it is, you can plan it out. But when it's something is undeniably going to be terrible, you can also predict that thing. When it will happen, how it will happen, and when you combine it all, you can use the unpredictability to work your way. So now with that idea, you can also create a different timeline. But how to do that is actually Sekar win. See, I also had a Russian client, and eventually she can say my name perfectly okay, Sekar. So if you notice in the my username is the Sekarwin, the Sekarwin. That name, Sekarwin. And you know what? I am Indonesian, being born in Muslim family, but my name, my first name, Sekar, is Hindu because in Java we learned the language in Javanese, which is Java is like the big island that Jakarta in, that Java. And this region used to learn Sanskrit, which is the origin of Indian words. So we adopt Indian languages that eventually we use in our dialect, in our meaning. So Sekar is also Indian word, but for top of mountain. And most of the people who has the name Sekar in India is actually men. But in Indonesia, Sekar is actually girl's name because in Javanese, it's a name for flower. Was going to say change name title to seek. Well, unfortunately, that's just my name. I also thought about like changing my name to Scarlet, but the name is too sensual for the work that I do that I literally discard the name because I used to say my English name to be Scarlet Crest, but things going not going in my way, so that's one of the thing. That Russian girl that I do reading is actually a descendant of a dragon, and like very fascinating that when I get into a call with her, I see scales. I see the things that we call dragon. I think the thing that I saw as a fantasy a dragon is actually really just for the algorithm and search engine optimization. Nah, I'm not here for that. That's the thing. I'm not here to play with like I want to bind together with the algorithm. I'm here for people who just align with my idea. Just like somehow in some when I found you, so I stay. I like that type of people rather than I want people to find me in this way. I want people to find me based on algorithm because I tried to do that in my trial back in 2020, 2022. I burst my head because I'm like, no, I can't take this. I'm not here for the optimization, honey. Just for the say, because I tried, it doesn't work. It doesn't work for my system, and I eventually collapse faster than I thought. So I didn't go with the optimization anymore. I'm just going my way. Bible? What about Bible? I actually changed something about my physical. So right now I'm having a big headache because the muscle in here was like changing accordingly to my shoulder. And I'm like, okay, hopefully it's not going to be like this for so long. Can seek and you shall find. Knock and door will be open. Quote. Oh, I thought about it like, would I go into that kind of path where spirituality is actually in religion, but I myself is not religious person. So I try to essentially do you call it? Oh my god, I don't know the name. Like not making fun and not making such an attachment to anything. So I'm usually by my own, and that's why like it is good to have a Bible word that you fell in love with. But if I use it, then it's not my truth. Then it will show in my work, and I try not to do things that is not aligned with my system. So I essentially just learning this throughout my book. Like I'm like by the book of myself. I just want it to be this way because I'm very feeling oriented, meaning like intuition based person. I always like follow what my intuition tell me because that's always like the key to everything that I have in life. So yeah, thank you for saying that. Are you religious as a person, Bruce? I wonder like I respect that. Thank you. And that's why like I don't feel comfortable wearing this because I am not feeling religious as a Islam and I want to just pull it off, but I have yet to like go all in on that idea. I have the feeling of it since like I'm 15, but I never go for it because there are things, so logically speaking, there are things that I need to go through. And if I don't have that safety net yet, I will not take it off. That is my principle. when I was going out of the city with my friends, I actually take it off. But whenever I go out from the house, from the place we stay, I actually put it on. So that's also one of the things. Yep, got it. I feel like more and more people would stray so far from the religion itself because it never actually include them as an individual. So the religion is stemmed from this idea of generalization, the middle line. So they never include people who is too high from the middle line or too low from the middle line. That's why like, they trying to coming it together. And I also at one time of my exploration around belief or around connection with the higher being, the higher realm, the higher reality, I found that at some point, this religion is actually needed to experience by many people because they need to drag these people that was lawless to eventually know the basic. This is the basic. You need to follow this by the rules and this and this. But nowadays, there are more things to contemplate that just, yeah, actually, it happened this way, it happened this way, it happened this way. And there is a say that, oh, yeah, this religion is still true to its core because it has been kept that way ever since. And I'm like, how do you know that? How do you know that? And my parents even say that to me, and I'm like, I never said it to their face because I know they are such a fanatic believer that I never go outside of their belief. Because in order to not get into an asylum or get into a prison, I need to play by the middle rules just to play safe. So until I can get myself out of this, so until then. But yeah, that's the thing. People will have their own awareness eventually because there are too many of us to be contained in such a middle line. And we need to expand this energy even more because if it's not, the reality will break because they can't contain all of this. And it will. And also, I heard about uh, how there will be no pope after this one. And it is said in their history that you will be the last pope that ever will existed in this world. No one's know why. But eventually, I think like by 2030, we will know why, because things will change even faster because of the people that is arriving and the people who has been here for so long. And yeah, that's one of a personal belief. And I have concluded my personal belief into what I have shared a couple live stream ago. So it's not so weird that I meet people who never will understand what I'm saying, or people who understand it but also not believing the way I believe things. I have met those people and I'm like, I can contain them, I can let them be in their own world. That's the thing. Very interesting experience. Do we have anything else we want to say? There are many other options actually. It's not just that. There are more than just two. If we think from a personal perspective, then there are 8 billion views out there. And it's not just that. I feel like in America, that's just so huge because that's all they know. But in here, in Indonesia, we have like 700 ethnicity, small groups or big groups, and they all have different things culturally, spiritually, politically. Politically, we have like a general consensus around it. But Indonesia is such a bureaucrat, right? Is that how to say it? Like, it is still pretty messy to be called a country because there are too many corruption everywhere. Like, no one can do shit about it. But you can absolutely win over the things that they have eventually. And everything will come together by 2030, hopefully. If it's not, then 2050 is the final lifeline for this thing. Got it. So, oh, mahal aku ya. My spiritual team just like contacting me to everywhere is corrupt, I think. Yeah. And the thing is that there is a shadow government that is working behind the scene and they will continue working behind the scene until the until is actually still pretty long. It's the assimilation of everything coming into one is actually 100 years. And we have served the time for the last decade, so it's pretty. You can call it we shorten it up by like 20, 30 years, but it's still going on. It will still going on. The corruption itself. You know what's weird is that after I post that video when I have a power cut off, there are more people watching the live stream. I was like, huh, that's interesting. I don't know who you are because I feel like it can be a new people. It can be like just the subscriber itself. But if you are here, just let us know that you exist. And I'm not here for the viewers to begin with, so I never expect that many people would watch this. So yeah, it's just for me, to be honest. When you get into my main channel, then that's where I want people to watch this. Well, people who is relevant for the work, not just like anyone. Because I feel like when the more you get famous, the more critics you will get, you will receive because of, you know, people have different bias, different things they have going on in life. And when you get to meet that many people, it's, you can't help it to not receive the negative feedback. Hmm. Is there anything else that we want to say? there is a habit that I usually there is a habit that I usually do when I connect with my guides is that sometimes I just stare at a blank place, a blank space. But then when I'm like really focusing on what they say, I usually use my um these blips in my eyes, like I'm like focusing on one thing and the other thing and the other thing. And they say pretty much like the same thing all over, like the people who already talk about. And I'm like, okay, we don't have anything else to say, so we're gonna end this stream. So thank you for being here. I hope you got something from this. So yeah, and I'll see you tomorrow.